Good day from all over the world. You are with your host, Chariesse Boyd from Access Your Inner Wisdom with GPAC TV 23 in the heart of Pitt County, Eastern North Carolina, in Greenville. We are grateful today, wherever you are. I am glad that you are tuning in, and we are in for a treat on today with Access Your Inner Wisdom. And I am your host, Chariesse Boyd, and I am here to give inspiration, words of encouragement, and insight. I am doubly honored today because we are in the midst of a great, awesome, anointed woman. Without further ado, I am going to introduce our wonderful woman of the hour. Her name is Debra Daniels. She is an enthusiastic leader and she is a mentor, a teacher. She has loads and loads of titles and different hats that she wears. So I am going to relinquish the floor with some good old questions and comments. You guys can certainly tune in, chat your questions in, chat your comments in, and we shall dive right in. Good day, Mrs. Deborah M. Daniels. How are you today?
I am wonderful and I feel so blessed to be here this morning. I know that sounds a little cliche, but again, every opportunity, that we wake up every day is truly a blessing from God.
It
And
is.
to be in a room where, and in a space this morning with you and this important work you do, spreading the word, inspiring people. I'm just honored and blessed to be here today.
Yes. So I'm blessed to have you and thank you so much for accepting our invitation. Today, we definitely want to focus and hone in on um, the healing process when it comes to grieving, grief healing. And I believe, and you'll certainly give us insight, that this comes in many forms. It's not only as a result of the passing of an individual, but it could come through trauma. Am I right?
Right. Absolutely.
And I see that you are a certified grief
Yes.
counselor. Tell
Mhm.
us a little bit about that.
Okay.
What does it consist of, and things of that
Okay.
nature?
Absolutely. So I am a certified grief counselor with the American Academy of Grief Counselors through the American Institute of Healthcare Professionals. I know that's a mouthful.
It is.
I am not licensed, but I am certified.
Certified.
I'm certified to provide emotional support, to provide ways that individuals can um, cope with their grief from loss of many things, not only the loss of a loved one, but maybe the loss of a job, the loss of a marriage. Um, there are different types of losses. So I don't deal with the clinical side of it. However, my certification does allow me to, again, support individuals, give them a place to come and talk about their loss, better understand their emotions and the
Sure.
process that they're going through, and to actually provide grief education, which is very important. When you know what you're going through and you better understand it, it helps. It just helps you, with the process of this life experience called grief.
Yes. 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 Very well said. I definitely agree. So, can you explain if there is an actual difference? I'm wondering, is there an actual difference between a grief counselor and
Hmm.
a bereavement counselor?
Okay, so a grief counselor and a bereavement counselor is basically the same thing.
Okay.
Uh, we both so there's an added title because of the word bereavement that has been, I guess, attached to counseling. Um, Grief and bereavement are two different things.
Mhm.
Grief is the response to the loss, and bereavement is the actual change, the thing that has happened. So they are kind of the same thing, just like grief counselor and bereavement counselor. Again, we provide support. Um, we help people cope with their loss from of a loved one. Both, again, we both provide methods and strategies for individuals to cope with their loss, and we provide a safe space, as I mentioned, to discuss their feelings, be very open, talk about emotions.
Mm.
You can't always talk about it with everyone. You can't everybody doesn't want to hear you tell your story over and over, but the job of a grief counselor and a bereavement counselor is as such. We can It is safe to say that more is needed when I think the difference comes in, and more is needed when you talk about the different professions that are not knowledgeable of the process of grief. And what I mean by that is like nurses and believe it or not, mostly clergy. Now, I am clergy as well, but I have taken the necessary steps to educate myself to be able to confidently talk about this topic and to help people with this alongside with spiritual counseling as well.
Yes,
Um, so, to answer your question and sum it up, they are both the same thing.
yes, yes.
Hmm.
And I was wondering about that.
Hmm.
If grief counseling and bereavement counseling are the same. So, name a few things for a person to remember who may be feeling, name a few things that a person may be feeling when they experience the repercussions of death or of loss of a loved one.
Okay.
I find um, a lot of individuals down through my life's journey, they don't
Hmm.
speak about it, but it will exude in some area.
Right.
Something will be different. The attitude, the mood, their routine will change up.
Hmm.
And then some things you won't notice. They'll be behind the scenes. So, what's a few things that we should look out for us to kind of keen in on when a person
Well,
loses someone?
I like what you said, which is very important. That well, I'll put it to you this way. In our culture, we don't talk about grief. We don't talk about death. We experience it, but we don't talk about it. So it's important to know, first and foremost, that grief is normal. It's a normal part of life. So, going through it doesn't mean that you're weak. It doesn't mean that you have given up, or, you're just kind of a basket case. It means that you loved, or I should say, love. When there's an attachment to something that you have been used to and you lose it, this
Yeah.
is response to it is
Yes.
grief. Some of the things that I could say about when someone um, loses a loved one or has some type of loss that's significant, that's a key word, is that no two people grieve the same. So
Right.
know that, you could be in the same family. Say, for instance, you lost a parent and
Yeah.
you're in the same family. Each child will go through the same um, loss, but differently.
Right.
And it's important to not judge. It's important to not expect. There is no key book, or a anything that shows there's a right order in how you should grieve. There are stages to grief, which were defined by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. That there is, the denial, there's the acceptance, there's bargaining, there is um what did I say? Denial, acceptance.
Denial, bargaining.
Yeah, all those things. And so, excuse me, each person may experience one or more of those stages, or they may not experience any of them. I will say denial is typically one that you will go through. You may go through them at the same time, you may go through them one at a time, you may even go back to one of the stages. So, again, it's important to remember that grief is normal. It's important to know you may, find yourself in one of those stages. You need to also know that again, that your grief is unique to you. It belongs to you. No one can tell you how you should grieve. No one should expect for you to go through grief, for a specific amount of time. There is
Ah,
no time associated with grief.
hold it
Um,
right there. Hold it right.
a lot of
Hold
times
it right
we
there.
are, I'm sorry.
Hold it right there. So you said there is no specified time
Correct.
um, for grief to start and stop.
Right.
Is it such thing that people can grieve throughout their duration of living from the loss of
We
a loved one?
actually do. We actually do. But once you adapt to the loss, you go through it in a different way. It
Okay.
doesn't wake up with you and go to bed with you.
Okay.
You're able to compartmentalize your grief and kind of put it to the side. And then things such as, anniversaries, birthday, anniversaries, meaning the anniversary of the death, those type things may bring your grief back to the forefront. Those first anniversaries, first birthdays, first Christmases, first Thanksgiving without your loved one, all those things. And even, year 5, it may come back to you, just like the initial loss. And so there is no time, as I mentioned, you love the person or the thing that you lost. And so a piece of it will stay with you for the rest of your life. And so
Okay.
you will always have some type of response or feeling. But again, you can adapt to the fact that your loved one is no longer here, they're not coming back, and you can journey through life. But of course, your life won't be the same.
So let me. I hear what you're saying. Let me let our viewers know that they can certainly chat in any questions that they may have. They can certainly comment what they're hearing, because this is a well kept, unspoken remedy.
Right.
Talking, counseling, speaking from the type of work that I do and my own experience, I
Hmm.
can honestly say venting, talking, and for some, definitely me speaking to someone who really knows nothing about you, who's just an ear. For those of us that are not certified like you are, for those of us who just have a passion for people,
Hmm.
I want to say, and you can let me know if you agree or not, just listening
Hmm.
with our mouths closed is a type of medicine. What do you think? What do you say about that?
Absolutely. That to
Mhm.
me is what you would call being present. And that's
Being
what people need. They need support. They need to be witnessed, to know, not that you have to, hoorah, hoorah, you had a loss and, you're exempt from, attitudes and behaviors and those type things. No, that's not what I'm saying. Excuse me. What I am saying is that we need to be witness. Let the person know, I see you. I see that you are hurting and I'm
yes.
here for you however I can be. Let me know what it is you need and I will journey through this experience with you. I can't fix it, but I can be here for you. And as I mentioned, just being present, not knowing that, not thinking that you always have to have a response or an answer to what a person may be going through.
Yeah,
They
and
just
we
need to be able to talk about it. They need to be able to talk about their loved one and,
okay.
be able to say their name, be able to talk about the elephant in the room, which
Well,
is,
let me chime in because we
yes,
have a question.
yeah,
The question is, are there times when you're feeling a certain way but can't explain is that part of the process? You
yes,
feel in a certain way, but you
mhm,
can't even explain if that's a part of the process. That's where,
absolutely.
yeah.
I would say with that, to your listener, that that typically happens when there's either an anniversary, a birthday, some
Mhm.
occasion is coming up associated with the deceased, and that you subconsciously are remembering or trying to prepare for this thing, but you're not quite sure. So let us say it this way. So when
Okay.
Mother's Day or Father's Day is fast approaching, um, a lot of times people will go into this like funk and you just don't know what it is. And then as it gets closer, you may say, you know what? It's Mother's Day. That's what it
Mm-hmm.
is. Or it may be someone's birthday. That's what it is. That's why I feel
Mm-hmm.
this way. You can't put it into words.
Right.
Um, and so it is normal to go through
Mhm.
that. And it's important to try to be in touch as best as you can with your feelings, trying to put words, associate words with what you're feeling. Are you feeling confused? Are you feeling anxious? Are you even happy? Sometimes you can have happy moments, believe it or not, when you're grieving, and embrace those moments. It's okay to be happy. It doesn't mean you're happy that the person died. It just
Right.
means that you're human and you're having, you're just going through grief, which you go through in ebbs and flows. So, again, I hope I answered the question, but the response is yes. That is very normal.
Okay. So that was our Marie Mercer Andrews that asked that question.
Okay.
I wanna touch on this. What role should supports play in such a loss? I know we spoke about listening.
Mhm.
I,
Okay.
I want I want to speak on mood swings.
Ah.
We may be irritable,
Mhm.
and I think it's important for our listeners and viewers to hear how to respond or how to think when they're faced with that.
Right. So you're talking about the mood swings or you're talking about support? Which one did you want me to answer first?
What does the supporter do when they
Okay.
get hit
Okay.
from that person?
Okay.
Mhm.
So it's important for your support person to, if at all possible, okay, because some people may start off in a support role and realize this is too much, and but it just may be one person. It may even be your grief counselor, but they need to be able to help you to recognize the stages that you're going through,
That's it.
recognize,
Stages. Okay.
maybe that you just haven't accepted the loss yet. You haven't adapted to it. Um, Letting you know that, you're still in a place of denial, maybe certain things that you're doing that shows that you're not accepting the loss in that way, that you still are denying the loss. To help you realize possible triggers, things that are triggering you. If they're around you often, they'll be able to see those things.
Okay.
It could be a smell, it could be a TV show, it could be a place that you've frequent, frequented with your loved one, and you may, go to this place, and just, all kinds of emotions come from those type of experiences. So just remembering, as I mentioned, as a support person, you can't fix their grief. As much as you love them, as much as you want to be able
Okay.
to help and make it better for them,
Yeah. We can't
um
fix it. We can't fix it.
we
We have
cannot
another
fix
question,
it.
and that was detailed, and I'm getting a lot out of it, out of your answers as well. So we
Mhm.
have Cynthia White is on, and her question is there a certain amount of time
Mhm.
that you give someone who is grieving so that they don't go into deeper feelings of grief? Is there a certain
Mhm.
amount of time that you give someone who is grieving so that they don't go into deeper feelings of grief? And by the way, Maria complimented you on your response.
Thank you, Maria. I appreciate you. So to the question about, is there a certain amount of time? Again, it's not. It depends on the relationship that the person had with the person they lost. Um, it depends on whether is this their first experience with loss. How did the person die? Was it a natural death? Was it an unexpected death? Was it a death of a child? Um Grandparents, we typically, if they were up in age, we typically accept those type of losses a lot better. Someone who's had a terminal illness, we've had time, even through our anticipatory grief, expecting that this moment will come. Of course, you're still in denial because now you have to adapt to this life without them. But there really is no expected time. But I understand the second part of it where they mention, so they don't go into deeper grief. Okay, so that's when you need to encourage them to ask for help or to consider speaking with someone who is skilled and trained to be able to help them to navigate through those moments that are going to come, because it's all a process. It's
Yes.
not they died, you have the traditional service or memorial, whatever it is you're going to do, and
Yes.
then you get back to life. It is a process. It actually has been said, research shows it takes 31 months for a
31.
person's brain to catch up with what their heart is going.
Whew.
Mhm.
Jeez.
Yeah, that takes.
Stop right there. Pause. Pause.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm
absolutely.
just a baby. You giving me a lot. Hold on.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
it is.
What an eye opener. And
Mhm,
I'm sure that those are just statistics. Pastor Cynthia White said, thank you. I want to
mhm.
say hi to my brother in love, Lazarus.
Hey.
Nice name, right? Lazarus.
Yeah.
And 31 months. But
31
that's
months.
definitely a case by case basis because
Mhm, mhm,
um, with the venting, with the processing, I'm sure that those 31 months may be less. But I heard you say something that I wanted you to expound on. You
mhm,
spoke about stages of grief. I've heard
mhm,
that so many times.
mhm,
Stages of grief.
mhm,
Two-part question. Is that a case by case basis, depending on the individual?
mhm.
And what are the stages?
Okay. So again, it is a case by case. Some people, they don't even show signs of grief. So, and what happens there, it can be one or two things. They
Mhm.
either use this avoidance thing to try to avoid what um they may have heard, or don't want to go through the motion. They kind of block themselves, or it's a prolonged thing. At some point, these type people sometimes are persons who are handling all the affairs. They have to stay strong is what they feel for the family. But that's a disservice to yourself. You love, so you might as well grieve. It's a gift. Like I mentioned in the beginning, grieving is not a sign of weakness. It is a response to your loss, and it's okay. And it is normal. So
Sure.
again, the stages are denial, acceptance, bargaining, depression, and another one that is more newer, and David Kessler, who's a renowned grief expert, he has come up with the stage called finding meaning. Something that I can say that I have done through my losses. I have found meaning and have become a certified grief counselor. Lost my parents 3 months apart, almost 10 years ago. And I tell you what, I had no idea, did not see any of this coming, but my pain from my loss has now catapulted me into wanting to help people not go through what I went through, or to help
Mm,
them go through it in a healthier way. How about that?
a
Not,
healthy way. I love
yeah.
it.
Hmm.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Let me go back. You added, go recite the stages of grieving one more time. Nice
Hmm.
and slow.
So I said acceptance,
Acceptance, mhm,
denial,
denial,
bargaining,
bargaining.
depression.
Hmm.
I should say depression and anxiety.
Yeah,
And there is a new one, which is the finding meaning.
that's what I don't. That doesn't sound familiar to me. Finding
Right.
meaning.
This is right.
So
Mhm.
when you say finding meaning, yeah, share on that before I make a comment.
Right. So again, the finding meaning is finding meaning in the loss, meaning how it can help you, the person who you have lost. Say, for instance, I know a woman who her son was homeless
Okay.
and he got hit by a train and he, died from that. And so she has now um, purchased a home, and it is for those who are experiencing homelessness, so that no one else goes through what she went through, her child being experiencing homeless,
Sure.
and had this, event happen, this tragedy of being killed by a train. I guess maybe he was sleeping on the train, something of the tracks, something of that nature. So she found meaning in it. She took that
Yeah.
negative, that thing that could have taken her away from here, because death, sometimes if you don't address your grief, you too can die, because the grief is internal. And if you
Slow down
have,
right there. Slow down
Mhm.
right there.
Okay.
So we have, let's say we have family members
Hmm.
and they are going through what you're describing. And if that's not handled, there's a strong chance that they too can perish. I'm breaking it down nice and slow
Yeah,
so we can
absolutely,
let that
absolutely.
marinate and let
Right.
individuals think about whom they may be led to think about in this space.
Hmm.
How do we prevent that? Talk to me about how we can prevent that.
So you're asking, how can we prevent?
Another demise of an individual over the overwhelmingness
Right.
of not handling
Ooh,
it healthy.
that is very difficult
Okay.
to respond to. I'll put it to you this way. When I think about my mom, so my dad died first, okay? And my mom died of a broken heart.
Ah,
They were together 50
we
plus
hear that
years.
a lot. Mm,
Mhm. And so because grief is internal, and she already had pre-existing, health conditions, and grief can just, it will attack, it causes inflammation, it causes, if you have high blood pressure, those type things. So anything that you may be dealing with, any medical, if you have heart problems or things like that, grief can, because that broken heart thing
yeah,
is
yeah.
real, y'all. It's a real thing. And so it's good to even, see your physician, if you notice signs of things that are changing. Now, of course, after a loss, our sleep is going to be disrupted, our appetite is going to be disrupted, those type things. But if
Okay.
it's for a prolonged period, and you just really, there's going to be times you're not going to be able to get out of the bed, those type things. But if you really notice a lot
Mhm,
of um, physical changes, things
mhm.
that, you just know you need to get addressed, especially think about it. Your sleep is important. So
Ah,
even going to get, something to prescribe from your doctor, for
wait,
anxiety or,
time out. But
Mhm.
what if you don't want to? Because that's something that I have experienced
Right.
and I am experiencing the
Hmm.
sleep. Not
Right.
good. Not
Right.
good at all.
Okay.
I don't want to take a medication
Right.
for it.
Hmm.
And I want to get over it. And I have to disclose, I haven't
Right.
slept properly since November.
Wow.
I haven't. Not properly. Very, very, very much improperly.
Right. Right.
Well, what do you mean, Sharice? I mean sitting in a recliner. I
Yeah.
mean sitting at the computer.
Right.
It's like I refuse to go to the I don't mean to, but it just doesn't happen.
Right.
And I want to unravel that.
Right.
I want better. And I
Right.
hear what you're saying. Well,
Hmm.
go and get some medication. But what if I don't want any?
Right, because that's a real thing too, so, there are, gosh, I would say for me, sleep when you can.
Okay.
Your sleep pattern may change where you're sleeping in the daytime but not sleeping at night. Of course, that causes problems when you have to go to work, in the daytime. It depends if you're still on leave, I should say. from your grief, or you maybe you don't work, and so your habits have changed. And again, you just have to go with it. And if you don't want to take medication, there are things, and I'm not recommending them, but I know there are things over the counter that you can take. There are teas that you can take that can help with sleep.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
Like chamomile, something like that.
Chamomile, yep, those type things. So there are things that you can do, but at some point, um, I think the body will require some rest.
Right.
You just can't keep going on. Your body will let you know what it is that you need.
Okay.
Eating properly, even if you don't eat a lot, make sure you do consume the things that
Something.
are good for your body.
Okay, so we have viewers on, and I'm going to encourage you guys, and I'm grateful that I know a lot of you. Probably can't see all of you. Type in some of your questions of concerns. I can definitely keep them anonymous if you want me to, because I disclose mine. I'm transparent. I don't sleep properly. Those of you who have experienced such, be it positive or negative, share. One thing in this life's journey, we can't keep it unless we give it away. So
That's
if you
right.
have something that you want to share, good, bad, indifferent, on the form of a question, throw it in the chat, because
Hmm.
we are helpers one to another. That's the whole purpose of this show, accessing your inner wisdom. And my goal, Miss Deb, is to get more awareness out there, to get it out there,
Absolutely.
so people can have a place to fall back to. We are living in a day and time, unfortunately, a great um, amount of people are isolating. They
Right.
don't talk, they don't share.
Hmm.
We've grabbed hope to these devices,
Hmm.
and we don't use it like we really truly should.
Right.
Um, we want to talk through texting, and kind of touch a little bit on our senses, our natural born senses, and how it plays into grief.
Okay. So I have been taught, and I do believe we need each other to survive. We need, some type of relationship, um, whether it be with a higher power, or we need someone to be able to go through this life with. Um, Isolation. Is a real thing when it comes to grief. Some persons may choose to isolate as they try to adapt to the loss. It's not what they may want to do, especially if it was a person who is very outgoing and very people oriented. But grief, it just does some things to you. You know your life is different, and until you get used to that great loss, you're going to go through many ebbs and flows, many changes, many stages. So again, I find, and what I believe is that isolation may be for a short while. I mean, who's to say? But if you say, for instance, if you're a support person and you reaching out to the person who's going through, who you're supporting, and if they don't respond to a text, that's okay, because sometimes they may see it and they just, like you just said, they just mentally can't even put a sentence together because of what they're going through. It's not their fault. Um, but there are times when you may have to, try to insert yourself, and say if they don't answer their phone, or they don't respond to your text after a week or two, you may want to go visit them and see if you can, because they're, really starting to isolate, and you may want to go and check in on them, or even send them a message and let them know,
Okay,
I'm
okay.
concerned. And I
I,
really,
yeah,
don't want you to be in a place you're not alone. Letting them know that they're not alone going through this,
keyword,
I think says a
keyword.
lot. Yeah.
Not alone,
Mhm.
keyword.
Yeah.
So I want to just take a moment and acknowledge those who are on. I want to thank goodness for Melissa and Maria and Milan. And while I'm doing that, I want to show you some of these comments so you can respond.
Yes.
And you have a few down the pike. So you have that one.
Mm-hmm.
Asia, Cynthia, James, Richard, as I forestated, Lazarus, and probably many others. And I know some of these individuals. We've lost fathers with some of these people, sisters with some of these people, parents with some of these people. So let's go with James Williams. He said, prayer helps.
Mm-hmm.
God neither slumber nor sleep. So
Mm-hmm.
you might as well get your rest. He's talking to me and probably whoever else doesn't sleep. Thank you, James. I have another uh, uh, chat. I am still dealing with my grief on a moment by moment basis.
Mm-hmm.
Will there come a time where it will be a day by day, or should I say, not so frequently?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say I am in that place now. As I mentioned, my parents have been gone for just about 10 years, and I've had, other losses since then. Um, Loss of a very good childhood friend, a loss of a brother 3 years ago. So my grief and my thoughts of my loved ones, my parents, those thoughts are not as frequent. They're not on a day to day basis. But of course, they're with me. There may be something that reminds me of them, but it's not a constant. And another thing I would say to Maria too is with dad passing first and me being, first parent I lost, and ended up, taking medicine for anxiety. It was just so much. Then when
Very real.
mom died 3 months later, I stopped grieving for dad and I started grieving mom. And I
Wow.
never went back to grieving dad. Like, wait, what? I love my dad too. Like, what? How did this happen? And I recognized that. Like, I don't grieve my dad. Like, my everything went to my mom. All those emotions, all of that, trying to adapt to the loss of not having my mom. And then, that went on for a period. And I remember the day, and I love telling this part, that God said to me, "You will no longer grieve your parents the way you are." Say what?
Wow.
But he did. He did say it.
How
And
did you take it? How did you take
Mhm.
it? When you got that
Well,
revelation,
again,
how
I
did
was
you
just
take
like, wait, but those were my parents. What do you mean? Like John and Ida were my parents. And I didn't understand it, but I know God's voice and I know I heard what God said. So what God was doing, y'all, was preparing me. It didn't happen overnight. It probably didn't even happen in a year, maybe not even two. But he was preparing me for what the work that I would eventually be doing. Like, you have to be at a better place. You have to be well to be able to help someone with something that you've been through. So
Very
that
good.
is what. And now, as the hymn goes, we'll understand it better by and by.
Hmm.
Now I understand what God was doing. He was like,
So
daughter,
real.
you need to get it together, because I was in such a bad place. When I look back at pictures now and see how unhealthy I looked, um,
Mm.
I could have been out of here, y'all. So God was like, get it together, because there is more work for you to do. You're gonna be helping these people. You're gonna be on this show called Access Your Inner Wisdom with Chariesse Boyd, on July 18th, 2023. And you're
Right.
talking to her and her audience.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying?
And speaking of, let's segue right into that right quick. So you do have a LLC,
Yes.
and if I'm not mistaken, you can definitely correct me. You have a LLC, I believe it's Guarding of Grief Healing.
It absolutely is Garden of Grief Healing LLC. Yes,
What if someone needed to get in touch with you? How would they do that?
absolutely. You can reach me. Either go to my website, which is www.goghcs.com, and there is a place there where you can send me a message, and it comes to my email. You can also just send me an email, and it's Garden of Grief Healing
Mhm.
at gmail.com. You can reach me by phone at 720-390-0089. 0678.
I'm going to have you repeat that in 2.2 seconds.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready. Repeat your number again.
It's 720
Seven.
390
Mm-hmm.
0678.
720-390.
Yes. 0678.
0678.
Mhm.
So I know that you can be found on Facebook, right
I
on
have
this.
Yes, I have a Facebook page as well. And it is Garden of Grief Healing LLC is where you can find me.
Okay, so I have Garden of Grief Healing. You know, I type. Look, don't be laughing at me, y'all. You
Never
know,
mind.
so we have some more comments. I'm going to get to it in 1 second.
Okay.
Garden of Grief Healing, and I'm leaving your phone number,
Okay.
and I'm going to post it
Thank
so
you.
individuals can jot it down. If not for themselves, for someone else. And it's always good to have these types of support. And I will
Absolutely.
disclose again, I actually was referred to you,
Hmm.
and it was a very, very positive. Before I posted 702-390-0678.
720. 720 390 0678.
Okay. 720.
Correct.
Okay. Now I'm gonna post it. I am not gonna make no mistakes, and people are
I
not gonna
love it. I love
the realness. How about
information,
that?
the
So
checking. Yeah,
720-390-0678.
that is correct.
I am posting,
Thank you.
and I'm speaking from a successful experience. I wasted no time because I work in the field myself as a counselor, and I saw myself falling apart. Guess
Mm,
what? Guess what, Miss Deb?
what's that?
Nobody else saw it.
Oh,
Oh my goodness,
oh.
nobody else saw it.
Mm.
And they just a calling and just a asking
Mhm.
and I saw it. And of course
Mhm.
I shared it with one who 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 we had similarities, many. And that's Maria, who's on now. And again, guys, take this down, 720-390-0678. I'm not worried about it because whoever needs it, this will replay. You will be able to
Yes.
access this on YouTube, GPAC TV 23. Um, we are blessed down here in Greenville, North Carolina. We have some stations and cable and public access channels. And with the world itself, these days, there really is no excuse to get help. There's no excuse to get help. I am grateful for Milan, who's on. She says she'll pass it on to a friend. Look at there.
Yes.
Look at there, Miss Deb,
Thank you,
who can
Milan.
really use it. And she hopes that she calls. Well, we hope that she calls as well. Take it from me. I did obtain services from Garden of Grief Healing, and it didn't take long, but I trust that I'm safe in stating when I say this, Deb. Once we were done, she stated to me if I ever needed her, just holler. And I
Yes.
found great comfort in
Mhm.
that. I found great comfort in that. And I see I got some help coming from one of the other rooms. I ain't see my help. Information done all nicely. But I just want to kind of scroll through this, make sure I'm not leaving any comments out from anyone. I'm grateful. You're being heard, Miss Deb. You're being heard. You're getting absolutely. You're getting you know those are the promises of God because we are on, and
Absolutely.
people will view this later, tomorrow,
Mhm.
next week, next month.
Mhm.
Leave us with some words, some sound that we can look to, and where we can go,
Mhm.
where that time that they click on, they can say, glad I clicked on this, because I
Mhm.
believe we need some lasting words. But before you do, I got two. I got two. So Ethan Armstrong, he's here. He's stating processing feelings of my mom, who has dementia, so we're current. She doesn't know who I am anymore. So it
Mhm.
feels like a loss, although she is still alive. How would you respond to that?
Yeah, Ethan, that's a real thing. Again, I mentioned, excuse me, anticipatory grief. and you are going through what you no longer have with your mom, um, and what you could have had, if life had continued as it was prior to her having dementia. Um, and it's so true. I would truly encourage you to either find a support group. It can be an actual group, or it can be individual counseling, or it can be someone who you trust and know that they are going to understand. Maybe someone who has gone through, with their a parent who has had dementia, and how did they cope with it, how did they deal with it. And what I would definitely encourage you to do is to face those things that you're feeling. They're unique to you. This is your mom, like you only get one. You can have play mothers, godmothers, grandmothers. Most times people have relationships with their mom that are unexplainable, like we so don't feel like you have to make excuses for why you feel what you feel. It is an honor to have a mother, and to, even if you're caring for your mom, I mean, do the things that you can do so that you have no regrets, if at all possible. Ask for help as go along with this, and I hope you find resources and things that can help you with this experience. Nothing prepares us for these things. We didn't learn this stuff in our post-secondary education and things of that nature, like unless you were studying in as a specific area, you didn't learn about loss and grief and all these stages. And believe it or not, the stages also are associated not only with loss, but actually with death too. Those who may have had a diagnosis, of a terminal illness, or what the family is going through. Like, so it's a real thing that you know what you're feeling. And thank you for your comment.
So you're right, Miss Deb. You're exactly right. I'm believing that this has definitely already half of the
Hmm.
individuals that God has destined and intended they haven't even touched this yet. We're
Hmm.
live, but this will be
Right.
repeated. So I want to say already solutions are coming. Already the healing wheels are turning. Already, again, I'm doubly honored to have an individual on that I can see. I know there's more that I can see. I know personally, and I want to say to them prayerfully. I'm safe in stating this. If you
Hmm.
choose, because no one's mandated, you go what you positive support. If you choose, and I'm sure you will, make mention that it came from this show. Make mention
Hmm.
that you saw. And I like to call you Dr. Deborah. You know me. I say it like I
Your
feel it.
prophetic, her
Um,
prophetic self. I love
I'm,
it.
I'm, I'm pushing you to go back to school, right? I'm pushing you to go back to school.
And I've been
So
talking about it. So you
make
only confirming. It's confirmation.
That's right.
It is.
Make mention that you came across the show, or it was referred from one of your acquaintances that saw the show and gave the number. That makes a difference. I definitely want to echo what Overseer Chris Burton has stated. He states, grief is an expression of love after a loss. I
Yes.
want to second that.
I'll third it. It is.
But the healing
Yes.
comes. Ooh, this is good. Why are you gonna make me shout in the studio? But
Mm-hmm.
the healing comes when you treasure the memories created. That is it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I tell you, and those who are listening, don't take individuals for granted. Don't take life for
Yes.
granted. And I can honestly stand flat footed, 10 toes down. I have
Mm.
no regrets
No
when
regrets.
it comes to my mom. I
Yes.
did it. I did
Yes.
it. I
Yes.
told her I loved her.
Yes.
I asked her for forgiveness for things that I already asked her for
Yes.
forgiveness for decades ago. We
Yes.
talked. I shared memory. I disclosed so many things that she wanted me to stop. But and this is really not knowing that she was going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was an unplanned demise. That was an unplanned demise. And because I know some of these individuals on the line, I won't give names, but I know another mother that left here, and that was an unplanned demise. And even the
Hmm.
way it occurred,
Right.
there's some traumatic uh, repercussions that come into play when you got some good comments coming, when you witness or are there when the person transitions. And I can
Yes.
say I was there.
Yes.
Dad, were you ever there?
I was there. I was
You
there
was
on
there.
my dad. A
I'm gonna keep
beautiful,
rolling.
beautiful experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was there. And let me post. Oh, we got some good stuff coming right here at the closing hour, but we're gonna get
Yes.
it in.
Mm.
We're gonna get it in. So let me post good stuff. And you know what? We haven't even scratched the surface.
Mm.
This woman here that I'm posting, this is a young lady that I hold near and dear to my heart. And I just was supporting her as she lost her baby sister.
Hmm.
Um, just
All about
like
relationships. You're
she's
so
speaking
welcome,
to you. Yeah,
Asia.
yeah.
Absolutely. It's
She's
the
my
work
heart.
my soul must have. And with that said, that's a saying by Katie Geneva Cannon, very instrumental in womanist theology, but that was so I have adopted and I quote her saying, because this is the work my soul must have. Now that I'm on the other side of what some of you may be going through, I give God all glory,
Yeah.
honor, and praise for keeping me here and assigning this to me. This is not something I chose, y'all. It's an assignment. And I'm
Hmm.
honored to be able to speak into the lives of individuals. I
Miss
want
Deb,
mhm.
Miss Deb, you read this comment
Yes.
and you answer it.
Okay, I just lost my mom February 13th. To this day, I try not to think about her. I'm very upset with my mom for leaving us. I have a story to tell, but how can I stop thinking like that? Okay, so anger is a stage of grief. You can be angry with God, you can be angry with a person, and you can even be angry with yourself for having those feelings. How can I be angry at my mom for dying, or for God for calling her home? It's a real thing.
It's a real
It is
thing.
normal. It's
Normal.
normal. It's okay. That's the
Okay.
part you have to be okay with, knowing that it's okay and that it is normal. What I would suggest to you, Letitia, is to write a letter to your mom.
Yes.
Write a letter to your mom telling her what you feel. You have to deal with even the guilt um, that may be associated with the loss or whatever is causing the hurt, and you not being able to think about her. There's an attachment there, is what I'm hearing, that needs to be dealt with. Like, so I truly would recommend that you find yourself. Listen, let's dispel the myths and the stigma associated with counseling and therapy and all those things. Don't y'all want to live and be your best self, the
Come
best
on
version
here.
of yourself?
Do
What would
that.
your loved one want for you? They would want you to live, continue to live. They don't want to see us sitting on the side. Of course, we're going to, and we've all thought about this, like even our own, death, that when we leave here, what others may feel and, those type things. But it's a part of life. And, we don't have to stay in a state of grief or go through it in an unhealthy way. There's a healthier way of going through what you're feeling, being angry, and not using it to attack other people and things of that nature, but talking about it, telling people why you're angry, being darn it angry.
Yeah.
Okay, it's okay.
It's okay not to
It
be
is
okay.
okay. Yeah,
It's
it is
okay not
okay to
to be
not be
okay.
okay.
So we're grateful. Just golden nuggets are just
Hmm.
dropping out of your mouth. So we thank
Hmm.
God for that. Ethan Armstrong says thank you. He
You're
says thank
so welcome,
you.
Ethan. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah, and we have a beautiful comment for you. want you to see it for yourself.
Aw. Yes, Deborah
Yes.
Daniels is an awesome person to speak to about grief and healing. I have spoken to her and she has helped me and has told me as well. It's a process and to take my time, but also to breathe. I just told her this just the other day, to breathe, just because taking care of myself is definitely important as well. Absolutely. And I know for sure that you did all you could for your mom. And I know your mom would want the best for you at this state. Yes, your mom knows that you were going to miss her. But it was time for you to move on, to the next chapter of your life. And I say this, understanding what you could possibly be going through. I also wanted to touch on, add to what Overseer Chris Burton said,
You
talking
got
about
60,
your
60
treasures.
seconds. 60
Mhm.
seconds.
Uh-huh. And just say that those treasures he talked about, which can create healing, you can compartmentalize those, put them away, bring them out when you need them, put them away, bring them out when you need them. And so that will eventually help you get, to a better place and to the other side.
So you got your amen. You got your amen
Amen.
from
Thank
Maria.
you so much.
And I
Thank you.
want to, I'm trying my best to let all the chats be shown. So let me show you this one. And
Yeah,
she heard, evidently, Letitia heard everything you said.
absolutely.
And that is evidently what she's writing. Yes, she will. That is what her mother would want, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're grateful for that. And as we come upon a close,
Mm-hmm.
I want to just take a moment and thank everyone for tuning in to Access Your Inner Wisdom. I am your host, Chariesse Boyd, and we are housed at our public access channel here in Pitt County, Greenville, North Carolina, which is GPAT, GPAT TV Channel 23. We are under the umbrella of Optimum here in this location, and that doesn't stop us, Miss Deb,
Mm-hmm.
because Miss Deb is on live all the way from Colorado. Now I
Yes.
know there's a time difference. What time is it over there?
It is actually 9:28 a.m.
And
Yes.
that what time is that? I'm in Eastern time. You're in
So I'm in mountain time. Yeah.
Mountain time, y'all. So we can do this.
2 hours
God said in his word
Mm-hmm.
that the harvest is plenteous,
Yes,
but the
yes.
laborers are few. So
Absolutely.
come
Yeah.
on and join in your area, in your gifted area. But I have good news. Most of the people on this line are operating in their gifts, the ones that I
Wow.
know.
That's so
And
wonderful.
yes, those who are running, come on back. Come
Yep.
on back.
Mm-hmm.
Because God needs us. We are
Mm-hmm.
definitely helpers one to another. I'm grateful even for our manager, and we are multi uh, correlated. We are a multi correlated enterprise. So
Mm-hmm.
some of you have tuned in from WBIS Awesome Radio. Um, that's on Facebook, and we're linked. Some of you are tuned in through GPAC TV 23. That's the headquarters for Access Your Inner Wisdom. And some of you have even tuned in. You see behind me, WYLT. Stay tuned. We'll tell you a little bit more about that. Oh, watch us grow. Watch us grow
Yes.
down here. Watch us
Yes.
grow down here. And Mrs. Daniels, I want to show you something else. I heard your New York accent so much today in this hour.
Oh, wow.
It's still there. So am I right? Are you New
You are
York based?
right. Originally born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I'm proud of it, y'all. Brooklyn girl.
And they already know how I feel about it. We
Right?
want to thank everyone. Share this. We are on YouTube. We are on Roku, I want to say.
Okay.
I'm doing this blind eye.
Okay.
We are on everything that I aforementioned. I will not end this show without saying I'm grateful to Miss Akila Thigpen, the visionary, the
Yeah.
owner, the general manager, the shot caller. I
Mm-hmm.
give her her accolades in the presence of the Lord while
Yeah.
she can still hear me.
Yes.
Thank you
Amen.
so much, Miss Deborah Daniels. I like to call you Dr.
Thank you.
Deborah Daniels, and
Thank
we are
you.
going to certainly continue to pray for success of your LLC,
Thank you.
Garden of Grief Healing. You can certainly find it. You can find it right here on Facebook. I am grateful for Creative Woodworks. This
Yeah.
is another. This is another bad boy. He's a bad
All right.
boy. He bad with it, and we want to thank goodness for Brother Malcolm Branch, and
Yes. Good day to you.
I mean, these chats are just coming in. So James William, this guy. Words cannot describe. Awesome entrepreneurs, business owners here on this line, and most importantly, men and women who honor our Creator. James Williams states, I think it is very important that we remember the joyful times that your loved one was here on earth doing. Things like their special sayings that used to make you laugh, and the
Hmm.
little ways that they look at you when they are upset with you, and it makes you laugh
Yeah.
because Matthew chapter 13, verse 20 is something that we should reflect on. Since he that receiveth the seed into stony places, the same as heareth the word, and with joy receive it. With that being said, we are going to end our segment of our show. And again, I am grateful for our very, very special guest, all the way
Thank
from
you.
Colorado,
Thank you.
native New Yorker,
Yes.
just like me. And I am grateful for all those that have joined. Miss Danger, Moncrief, Shanita, Lazarus, Melissa, Maria, Ethan, James, Richard, Milan, Asia, Cynthia White. I'm all for it. Overseer Chris, Pastor White. I'm all for it. If I left your name out, just take it that it was an oversight. I love you
Mhm.
all. Until next, access your inner wisdom taping, recording, or live. I'll see you then. Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you.